Hey everybody, it's me, Chris Herman, here for another episode of On Deck. Today we have a repeat guest. It is Brittany Redondo. Brittany is not only a member of the crew here at the Herman agency, she is a client manager, has been doing a great job with us here. She also is a successful young entrepreneur. Brittany has created her own Brazilian themed or inspired, I guess would be a better way to say it, Brazilian inspired swimwear line called Samba Swim. And I've watched her development with this brand and her company over the last year. You know, she's retailing actual product, creating her own marketing campaigns, styling her shoots, styling and designing the actual line. She's doing a really great job. And I think this conversation is going to be really interesting for all of you to see how a young woman coming up these days is crafting and creating her own brand and her own company. It's really cool. So without further ado, here we go. It's Brittany Redondo. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Brittany Redondo, you're back. This is round 2 of On Deck for you.
Yes.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. I was thinking last time, it's been almost a year.
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
10 months.
Yeah, almost a year.
And when we sat the last time, we were talking about COVID and what it was like for you to graduate college during the pandemic and then, kind of make your journey into the real world at that time. And now here it is, it's a year later, right? You've been here that whole year and you've accomplished a lot on 2 fronts, right?
Yeah,
How's it feel?
It's good. It's been busy. It's funny. I was saying the other day, I think my dad, how it's weird thinking that because I technically started my business last May, so
yes.
it is coming up on a year. So that sounds like a really long time, but it kind of flew by. So, but yeah, it's been good.
Well, it should be said that you are a client manager here, but really for the perspective or for the for this conversation, I definitely would like to focus more on the fact that you are a business owner and the owner of Samba Swim,
yes,
which is a sort of a Brazilian-inspired women's swimwear, primarily bikini line,
yes,
right? That you've now had for almost a year.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, you're doing a fantastic job with it.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it's been like and what you're doing?
It's been good. It's been definitely very busy. Things are definitely starting to pick up again now that it's moving into that spring, summertime. But no, it's been really good. It's definitely been very helpful having the support that I've had from friends or people I knew from UCF. So I think that definitely got it going. And now I'm kind of navigating, expanding the business, not just from people I know and trying to grow. So I feel like I'm in that stage right now, figuring out how to expand more. But no, it's been really good. Yeah.
I'll elaborate on some of the things that you've accomplished. Not only is it, a swimmer line that you own and you're building, but everything from, the actual design of the pieces. That's all you. Working with people around the world to get it done, right? Your manufacturing is in
Bali, in Indonesia.
Yes, in Indonesia. And, you do the packaging and shipping at home. I mean, you're like, you're managing the social media.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Now I would definitely something too from now to when I started a year ago is a little hard for me to, I guess, with language barriers, navigate talking to my manufacturers, and the communication was a little tricky, and it's almost a 12-hour time difference. So I'm talking to them at 1 a.m. and it's 10 a.m. there for them. So I think now that I've built a relationship with one of the people who work specifically in the manufacturer, it's been a lot easier for me now that I have that relationship. So that's definitely something too, I would say, from now to a year ago has been easier for me too. So that's been good. Yeah.
Have you experienced any of what the world is experiencing in terms of like supply chain disruption or the slowing of the manufacturing of your stuff?
Yeah, I would say now it's definitely it feels a little bit more back to normal, whereas last end of summer, so August, typically how it works with my manufacturer, they can restock your items within 6 weeks, which isn't bad at all. That's a decent time frame. But for me, last May when I launched, I sold out of a lot of items, so I was hoping to restock in a certain window, and it took 3+ months. So I felt like I was in this like rut of like I had no inventory, and that's obviously not good when you're like, it is good, but it's not good. So that was definitely something that COVID affected for me, was the shipping and them receiving goods and fabric. So yeah, now it definitely does seem like they have it's more of a handle on things.
Right.
But yeah, last year at around this time, it was definitely affecting everything.
But is it caught up? And I think we've talked about this before offline, but the new stuff that you have coming out, or that's out, which is brown and the neon green, lime green,
yeah.
Which I think is really like a very interesting.
Yeah. You
don't see that anywhere, and it totally works.
Yeah, it's funny too. Obviously, because before the collection comes out, it is a lot of planning ahead of time.
Right.
So I ordered those colors months and months ago, and now they're out. But it's funny seeing other brands too, kind of using similar color palettes.
Oh, are you seeing that?
Mm-hmm, yeah. So it's fun. It's good because it means the colors are popular and they're wanted.
Right.
But it is funny seeing how long ago I picked things and then seeing.
Now, how did you come up with that combination? Like what inspired that?
Yeah. So for me, whenever I do start planning a new collection, I honestly I go on Pinterest a lot. So for me, it'll be a random photo where I see all of the colors together, and that's kind of where I'll start like creating ideas.
Right.
But I did know when I did start planning the second collection that I did, it's called Copacabana. It's based off the beach in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I wanted this collection to be kind of centered around Brazil because the basis of the name is Samba Swim, and that's kind of like the whole idea. So I wanted to specifically make a collection based around that. So when I started researching old pictures of Copacabana, I noticed those colors stuck out a lot. Oh,
really?
So yeah, so that was kind of where I got the idea. Yeah.
That's a good look. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, well, that's a really interesting combination.
I wanted it to be something too that like stuck out, and because even though people do like the basics, it's always good to have something that's eye-catching to get people's attention. So
now this current, what do you call it? Batch? What do you call this when you like your current?
Collection.
Your current collection. Yeah, collection. Yes, your current collection. Are you stocked up at this point in time and able to retail a decent amount? Yeah.
Now it's been good. Also too, specifically with the brown color I have, certain fabrics through the manufacturer, they either have them in stock or they have to be imported. So when I chose the brown, it was an imported fabric, meaning you have to order double of it. Okay. So when I did that, I had to make a decision if that was a good idea or not, but I was feeling confident that brown was a good color choice, and so far it has been. So right now, yes, I do definitely have like a decent amount of inventory.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's the actual ordering process going right now?
It's definitely picked up this past month. I feel like December and January were really, really slow.
Right.
But which is why you do sales and winter sales and things like that to get people's attention. So that's kind of what I've been doing now too. And I actually went up to Orlando to UCF to do a pop-up shop recently at one of the sorority houses. Yeah.
How'd it go?
It went really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So their spring break at UCF is in a couple weeks, so I was trying to strategically plan that. So yeah, it went super well. So yeah, it's the orders have definitely been good recently.
What did you do for your pop-up shop? Like, what did you set up?
So yeah, normally I'll just bring I don't know why I can't think of the exact name, but just like a not a cart, but just like a clothing rack to just a rack. Yeah. Okay. And I'll like hang up each of, you could say it's the samples. They're not actually for sale, but just of each style I have and every color, and I'll hang those up. And
so you didn't roll up there in like an old van or something like that with coconuts and stuff?
No. But yeah, I was right in the actual house. That would be funny though. That'd be cool.
Well, because you've just done like this recent it looks like you've done a recent photo shoot,
Yeah.
right? That has like a very sort of like
It did, yeah.
beach shack.
Yeah, I did. I actually did. We did the shoot this past weekend, so
Okay.
a couple days ago, actually. Yeah, it was. I found it. It was an Airbnb in Miami, but it was technically a farm. So I didn't know that at first. So when I got there, it looked like a house from the outside, but you walk in and it was like a mini farm. It's
No
in
way.
Miami. Yeah, it's called Earth and Us Farm.
Where?
It was honestly in
Somewhere.
the middle of nowhere.
Really?
Yeah, it was in the middle. I didn't know where I was when I got there. But it was really cool. It had that old looking foresty feel, which it felt like the theme of the collection. So yeah, I obviously we can't go to Brazil, so I wanted something to kind of embody that foresty.
I thought, you know, because you just posted pictures just the other day, and I thought like the I mean, I've said this to you before, but I think not only are the designs of your line really nice, but how you've been styling this, you know, this combination of, you know, because certainly there's a sexy component to the creative imaging, right? But it's more than that. There's like a vibe and a feel.
Yeah.
And this one looks like you really kind of.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Good job. Like
Yeah.
you kind of nailed a cool vibe.
Yeah, I think too, when I recently did come out with this collection, I had such a vision for it, and I've done a shoot with it before with the new colors, and it didn't come out like my vision, so I was really happy to be able to redo it and for it to kind of embody what it's like storytelling, I feel like. So that's what I wanted it to do.
How are you building this crew?
Yeah, so I feel like that's been a process too. So the girls that I have model for me that I use, one of them, she was in my sorority at UCF, so that's how I knew her. One, she actually went to my high school, but I didn't know her at all. I just kind of saw her on Instagram one day, and I messaged her, and she was, her name's Alyssa. She was the first one I asked to help model for me.
Right.
So as far as the girls, it's kind of just people I know. And then the photographer, I actually met him through a friend that he shot photos for. And he kind of showed me some of his stuff, and I felt like he shared a similar vision that I had and the type of imagery I wanted. So that was my first time using him, actually, and it went really well. But I definitely think it's a trial and error with finding exactly who you want and if you like working with them, and It
looked to me like on this shoot like you guys had fun doing it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that's the thing too. If you mesh well with the people, I feel like with anything you just get better images. So
if you were to like, you know, define I guess your ideal like look and feel for this brand, you know, like where do you see it now and where do you see it moving forward?
Now I definitely feel like it is more fun and trendy, and when I did initially create the styles and colors and designs, and I picked initially everything, I did want it to feel trendy and kind of almost like you're wearing a wardrobe, not just like a suit. Like I wanted it to feel like almost like an outfit. That's how I feel when I put on a swimsuit. I want it to feel like the whole package, which is why also too right now I don't have cover-ups and accessories and things like that, but that is definitely where I want to start veering into as well, like with the swimsuits, which is why I like saying a swimwear wardrobe as opposed to just a swimsuit. So definitely, as opposed to now, that is kind of what I want to start moving towards.
How long does it take to plan that out?
So at least I want to say it from start to finish, whether it's sampling or I want to say at least 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
Which doesn't sound like a long time, but it is a long time. So for me, I think I've said this before, the hardest part is the sampling process. So right now, actually, for the next collection that I'm hoping to have done by May, we'll see. But just an example, I had to send my samples back for them to make some changes, and there's been that is something it's not to do with COVID, but it was just a simple delay because of the weather, and so things like that kind of, it takes a while to get things from here to Bali, so that also adds on to the timeline. Yeah, so it's just yeah. So, but yeah. So I did want to already for this next collection have cover-ups and have sarongs and things like that, but I'm doing new styles for the next collection, so I want to kind of focus in on that and perfect those before I bring in something else.
So does that mean that, okay, so the next collection comes in May? Is that what you're saying?
That's the
ideally
goal. Ideally, yeah.
And this is a collection including like the wraps and sarongs and other stuff, or this is still swimwear?
Still swimwear, but just new styles from anything I've done. So that's why it's taken a little bit more time, because you have to approve them and make changes and things like that. So
are you starting to, well, I mean, I'm sure the answer is yes, but you can elaborate, starting to feel like you're settling into a rhythm from the perspective of, it's like, okay, you come up with the concept, you begin working through it, you get the samples, kind of like the lead time, perhaps when you get like the initial product, how long it's going to take to do the shoot.
So I feel like I definitely have a better grasp on it than I did a year ago. A year ago, it was completely unorganized. I felt rushed for everything. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Now it still feels like
I still feel that way sometimes.
It definitely still feels like I don't know what I'm doing, but I have, because I've done it once, I have a better grasp on it. So it does feel like so far right now it is flowing a little bit better. But I think that is just, you have to keep doing something to get better at it and learn. So
it's what did my dad used to say? He used to say, there's some people that are like ready, aim, and there's other people who are ready, fire, aim, and it's like, there's probably a happy medium between the both, but I can definitely say that as I've progressed in my career, life, or whatever, now I'm just like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's just figure it out. And if we screw it up, then we'll make adjustments.
Even for this past shoot I did this past weekend, I was so anxious leading up to it, because I was like, oh, I need to prepare and get all these things and do all these things, and there is a lot of preparing going into it, whether it's props or just making sure everyone's there and setting all that up. That is, you can't procrastinate that. You have to get that done. However, I was trying to plan so detailed each shot and what time we're doing, like I was trying to do that, whereas right before I got there I was like, I'm gonna just let it go and flow, and when I get there, like, figure it out there. And I think that probably worked a little bit better for me, as opposed to me trying to plan every single thing right before.
It's interesting you say that. So many times, for this business, we've gone somewhere to shoot, right? And everyone's like, well, what's the shot list? And so somebody types up a shot list. We need this, we need that, but as you're finding, I think the most, it's like, give yourself a structured plan and make sure you have all the stuff that you need. But then once you get in the moment, you got to just start, like, let the creative energy flow and just go with it.
Because when we got there, none of us had ever been there before, and there were so many cool different spots we didn't know were there.
Right.
So I feel like even though I had a plan in my head, it completely changed when we got there, because whether it's lighting or that looks better, like, it just, like, completely changed, and it just, like, happened the way it happened. So I think, like you said, you just have to let, like, the creative energy flow.
Were there animals there? Were there chickens?
That's what I was that's what I was gonna say. There was roosters, donkeys, there was goats, like anything you can imagine. Great. And I went there with one of the girls who modeled for me. We're good friends, and I went with her there, and it was just us there when we got there. Like, no one else was there. And like I said, I didn't realize it was a farm when I booked it. And so when we got there, I look over and I was like, she was like, what's that smell? And I was like, oh my God, there's animals everywhere. So like, it's funny now. And there was spiders everywhere, banana spiders. So those don't bite or bother you. But of course I brought all these girls there, and they're like freaking out. So it was fun. But it was funny. It was fun.
Listen, this modeling shit's tough business. Everybody says that. You hear all these stories of, like, the swimsuit models freezing their ass off in cold weather. So it's like, No,
there was bugs everywhere, because technically the Airbnb I booked, it was like the room, it was technically a tree house.
Right.
So literally, like, at the shoot, there was literally a tree house, and it's this steep ladder to get up, and there's like cobwebs and spiders everywhere, and like the girls were walking up. They're like, I'm not walking up there. I'm like, yes, you are. I was like, you're going up. So, yeah, no.
Get up there.
So it's definitely, I don't think people realize how much goes into a shoot and everything. So it was a lot of fun, but it's definitely a lot.
It's totally a lot of work, right?
We were all exhausted after, and we shot 2 days. It was Friday, Saturday.
Now,
so,
did you stay there at the...
I didn't, no.
Right, no.
Yeah, so we shot like late in the day Friday for more of sunset.
There was just like some gigantic thing flying around in the window.
We're talking about all these bugs.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, so we shot later in the day Friday, which was, I'm glad it was 2 days, because Friday felt super chaotic because we were trying to figure everything out and organize everything and kind of find the spots.
Right.
So Saturday definitely flowed a lot better. But actually the photographer I used, he's from Orlando. He could have stayed at Friends, but he chose to stay in the treehouse room. So and literally the bed, it had that big canopy net over it for bugs, because it's a treehouse.
Because you're outside, right?
Yeah, you're outside. So it was funny, but he said it was fine. So.
How fun though! I mean, that's
it was fun.
That's like that's a fun adventure. It's it's work and you're doing it, but you get to have fun, and that's the kind of stuff that, particularly, I would say for more of a youthful brand, like to be able to convey that sense of fun and adventure and like freeness.
That's why I say too, I like it to feel like storytelling. I feel like people are more drawn to buying something because of the brand and the story behind what you're selling, as opposed to just the product, because I just feel like the product could be great, but people like to feel like connected and drawn in with brands.
100%.
I'm the same way too. I notice when I buy things, I'm more intrigued by who's saying what and who's telling me what and the meaning behind it. So
we have actually here, I think our team has done a really good job getting maximum usage out of a lot of like particularly photo content that we did a long time ago. But I know that right now we're doing our very best job, just crank stuff out, because we haven't done any new photo shoots in a little bit. We're going to, I've just been wanting to get some other things done around here. But I feel that sense of like, okay, we're putting stuff out every day. Mm-hmm. And I think people think that it's perfectly pleasant or nice, but I look at it and I'm like, we don't have the same heart and soul in this right now, because we're kind of regenerating a lot of stuff.
And I think too, when I told my dad too that I was redoing this shoot, he was like, oh, you already have pictures, why do you have to redo it? It's ready for sale. And I was like, no. I was like, it's a part of, and I believe I was right in what I was saying, because even when we were there doing the shoot and people are posting things and people see where you are, like orders were rolling in. So
oh really?
Oh yeah, it was fun. But so I'm like there doing it. I'm like, oh, that's good. But I do genuinely think people like seeing a story and the meaning behind the collection and why it looks like this and things like that. I think it does make it fun. So.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. And the fact that it was like you had orders rolling in as you guys were on the shoot, because people were seeing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's all.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. So it was good. So yeah.
The worldwide takeover plan has begun.
Yeah. But I think too, like you said, even though for you're seeing the same images, I do think like all of the content that you put out and that we put out, it still is very engaging. But I think for you, like you said, and for me too, when I'm looking at the same images or pictures, I'm like, oh, I've seen this. But
it's not only that, it's like, you want to be telling a story, right? And so you've got to kind of start fresh a lot with new stuff. And that stuff, either a story inspires that stuff, or you see that stuff and it inspires a story or the words. And so I'm looking forward to, to doing that here as well too, because it just makes it more fun. And if you're more engaged, then people are going to be more engaged, right?
Yeah.
How like if you're looking at the response that you're getting on social media, like what tell me about the feedback that you're getting, and does it guide you in any way, or is it just letting you know you're on the right track?
Yeah, I definitely would say it's letting me know I'm on the right track. All of the feedback I get, so far, I don't want to jinx myself, but so far all of the feedback I get has been very positive and very good.
Right.
I think from an outside perspective, it does a good job of appearing like everything's amazing and everything's going, which it is, but also not on the outside of it. I like only a couple weeks ago was in this panic mode because I'm like, I have all this inventory and I shouldn't have restocked, and kind of just thinking like, how am I going to sell all of this, and feeling overwhelmed. But I feel like I'm doing a good job of appearing like everything is running smoothly, at least, which it is. But I think for me too, this is all new, so it's hard for me to say if it's going as well as it could be, or if something should be different. But from the feedback I get, it is positive. So
I mean, I would say that right now, for you to not even be 1 year into it, you know, in your second or third iteration of what you're creating, and you're taking orders like live on the spot as you're cranking out content, I'd say that's probably a good indication. And you're gonna have I mean, I still have them from time to time, those fucking, like, you wake up and you're like, fuck, you know. And you know, having been through enough of those myself, you just they come, they go.
There's some days where I wake up and I'm like, oh, everything's great, like I'm doing amazing, and then there's other days where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I think, like you said, it just comes in waves. Yeah,
I mean, again, like I said it before, but I mean, I still have those moments. Sometimes I'm around here working on whatever I'm working on, I'm like, this is craziness what I'm doing, right? To some degree, but like I have this end vision. And so in those moments where you're like, either am I doing the right thing, or they pass, and you just continue to follow your heart and your gut in terms of what you think you need to do, and then pay attention to like the little, I like to call them like breadcrumbs, or like little, you know, magic sprinkles, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know if you notice this, but I notice it. Every now and then something will just come along and I'll be like, not to be weird, but like I know that's a sign that's telling me I'm on the right course.
Okay.
Just some little thing.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know? And if you keep your mind open to it, you'll, like, little things will start to materialize.
Yeah.
On your journey.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, definitely.
Which is fun. How I think we've talked about this before, but you're like the only one of your friends in your peer group doing something like this, right?
Yeah, I would definitely say that all of the friends that I do have, they have amazing jobs and they're doing great, but no one has kind of created their own thing and started their own business. So it is nice. I definitely feel like I have a lot of support from them, which is great. But yeah, when I do meet people who do have their own thing or are passionate about something, it is nice to have conversations with them and kind of relate in a sense.
Right.
Because I feel like unless you are doing it, you don't realize everything that goes into it and all of the stress and everything. So
do you have, are there either online or people, do you have either a small group or selection of people that you can look to outside, outside family though? Cause I know you have that at home, right?
Yeah, there's definitely people, and it's funny because the people that I do talk to, I've never met them in person. It's kind of just we connected on social media, and whether they're from Orlando or wherever, and they have their own personal brands too, like clothing brands or whatever it may be. And it's nice to feel like support and be able to conversate and talk to about things. And I definitely do have certain people I go to for opinions or advice, which is nice. But yeah.
What are the things that you think you don't know at this point in time?
What I think I don't know? Honestly, I feel like I am still just kind of figuring out how to grow. I feel like I know what I'm supposed to be doing. You have to be consistent with social and Instagram reels, and I know I need to get on TikTok and things like that, or organically. I guess I feel like I'm wanting to go into paid marketing and paid social, and I've never really done that for me personally, so I guess I'm just trying to figure out like that secret formula, like how, because I see it work for so many other brands. I see their stuff all the time. I see their ads and I see it working, and I think I'm trying to figure that out right now, but I don't know. that's something I'm a little unsure of.
Well, as things often happen, like you and I, we've had this conversation before, and my offer is still, we just need to sit down and just work on it a little together. You know, to just give you some guidance on where to start like that. But yeah, you totally, I mean, when I find the same thing with what I would call the Instagram brands, where it's just the really good ones. They follow you everywhere. Like my wife for Christmas wanted this. She really likes like this sort of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's very like free flowy, like wrappy, kind of like gold, necklaces, and they're very light and they have some stones. And there's a company, I think it's called Be Goldish.
Okay.
Anyway, so she wanted something from them for Christmas, so I got it. It was really beautiful, like a hand kind of deal, right? Brittany, there is not a day, there's not a moment that I open up social media and I'm not staring at, and it's all these really attractive women, like, I mean, every time I open it up, there it is.
You see it,
every time.
See, and that's how it is for me too. I see the big brands where I'm constantly seeing their stuff and I'm like, how are they doing that? So I feel like that's like something I want to get more into.
I'm going to open my phone and I'm like, there's Brittany. There's so much fun.
So it's like, but it's like I don't also want to cross that line where it comes off like too much, annoying.
Well, I mean, listen, in this case, the one that I'm referring to, I don't find it annoying at all because the photos are so attractive. Like, I got no problem with opening my phone and that's there. Now, if it was like fucking brakes or tires, I'd be like, oh.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's something pleasant coming into the feed, which would be the same with your stuff. I don't think that anybody's really going to be that upset about your brand.
But other than that, I guess too, this will be my only second time kind of changing the styles, and it is really tricky, especially with swimwear, kind of getting the right fit for everyone. And I feel like too, I feel like especially nowadays you have to be correct about everything.
I know, I was going to ask you about that.
So I feel like too, I'm completely aware that, for example, my sizing isn't for everyone.
Right.
And I know that's definitely, as I grow, that's going to be something, of course, that I want, but it is just tricky to navigate that too. That's more inventory, that's different size. Like it's just like I don't think people realize how much it goes into kind of making, I guess, the word exclusive or like inclusive for everyone.
No, I think that's a really good point. Is it's not just so much as just saying, oh well, we're just going to make some bigger sizes or different sizes, whatever. Maybe I even just said it wrong. You know, but there's a lot more that goes into it from the investment in inventory on your perspective. And is it going to move? Is it not?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing too. I think this is only something I'll learn as I go, as I do it. But also when I am, for example, I'm getting ready to place my next bulk order, I'm the one controlling how many sizes I get. But I feel like because I've had 2 orders before, I kind of have a little bit of an idea of exactly what sizes I should get and more or less of this. But for example, when I made my first order, I've been trying to do polls on my Instagram stories, do you like this color better, things like that. And when I made my first order, I remember I was between doing purple and pink. So I put up a poll and everyone picked purple. Most people picked purple. Purple was majority. And so when I placed my order, I ordered way more purple, but then when I got everything and I'm selling, purple was the least popular. So I feel like it's just like a learning thing. I think you just, for me, I'm finding I need to just trust my gut with certain things. So I think that's something too with placing the orders, is just kind of learning through experience. So yeah.
Very sharp. Look at you, huh?
Yeah.
I'll ask you a question I've asked you before, but how far do you want to take this?
I don't know if you know what Frankie's Bikinis is.
I do not.
Okay, it's probably one of like the biggest swim brands ever.
Really?
And she now is at the point, she's only a couple years older than me. She started this when she was 18, but she's at the point where she has clothes, shoes, except like she has everything. And that's also too where I love the idea of like a swimwear wardrobe. So just to answer your question, I just do want to keep growing with things I offer and things I have, and it would be nice to eventually have like a boutique somewhere and have like a little store, like not just online.
Right.
Even though it does just seem, especially for other brands I've seen, the more popular ones, online does seem to kind of just work better.
Yeah, it's just so much easier and less expense.
Yeah. So
does Frankie's, do they have any boutiques, or is it all online?
So they're sold, they do wholesale, so they're sold in a couple other little boutiques. They do that, and they do pop-ups here and there, but yeah, they don't have their own one store, which kind of leads me to believe that that's probably not the better option. But
is that, I mean, I guess that is kind of the pathway. It's like you start retailing online, and then perhaps you get it to a level where you're wholesaling to a couple of, you find like some boutiques that fit.
Yeah. I actually had a girl who, we have a mutual friend, and she reached out to me and she said how her sister was wanting to start her own boutique, and I would be interested in wholesaling my swimwear in there. There hasn't been much more to the conversation other than the idea, but yeah, it would eventually be cool to have my own swimwear in certain places.
Are you finding some balance in your life to some degree? I mean, you got a full-time gig here and you're creating your own company.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think it is just you learn as you go. I definitely do feel a lot better than I did a year ago or even a month ago. I think it is just you kind of learn like a routine and a schedule. And I think for me, I do really like planning and I do really like schedules, but I've been noticing, as much as I say that and I am that way, it's been tricky for me to kind of like make my own schedule and tell myself, like I like being guided. I genuinely do. I work well that way.
Right.
So it's been kind of tricky for me to navigate, like telling myself like what to do, if that makes sense. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you do that? Like, it's just the process of instilling that discipline on yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I definitely think I've gotten a better grip on it and realizing, okay, I do need an exact schedule and I do need a routine and things like that. Because with what I'm doing with the swimwear, you could always literally be doing something at all times, planning the next thing, thinking of this. Right. So that there's kind of always something like running through my head, I feel like it's like nonstop. But I feel like I've gotten a better grasp at organizing everything I need to do. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shifting gears a little bit. The last time we spoke, we touched on this, and I think that there's this perception, right, that your generation, right, is super duper addicted to technology to the point where there's either a lack of desire, ability, and or understanding of how to like interact on the human level.
Yeah.
And I think we touched on that before, but I want to revisit that and see what your view is on that.
I definitely think that my generation, including myself, we really are glued to our phones, like glued.
Right.
Sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, you can leave your phone, like it's okay. But I definitely do think that does go hand in hand with interactions and doing more face-to-face things. I do find that, especially to even friends I've had when we all graduated and we have those real full-time jobs, I feel like there's more of a nervousness and, like an anxiousness with having to have those face-to-face interactions and graduating where it was remote and now it's all, so at least for me and what I see, I definitely do think it impacts kind of the interactions we do have now. So
would you say that your friends or peer group are you have to adjust at some point in time, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I would say too, I'm definitely happy now that even though we're not fully back in person all the time, I do like coming in and kind of having that interaction, because I know if I didn't when I would have to do it, it would be like, oh my God, I have to go back in the office, you know? So it's good to kind of have that routine of that. And
so what causes the anxiety, you know? What is it?
I mean, I think everyone's different, but for me, at least, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just a feeling. I don't know if that's kind of just the way I am or...
Well, you definitely, you know, having been around you now off and on for a couple of years,
mm-hmm.
you've got a particular wavelength that you operate on, right? You're very chill, you're very focused, you're very on what you're doing, and you're definitely like in your zone.
Yeah.
But you're not like lost in it, because I mean, like it's just a hey, hello. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're definitely.
Yeah.
You've got your own.
Yeah, I think I've definitely learned that I prefer, even when I'm at home, I do just prefer being in my own like space. If I'm working, you know. Whereas, for example, Erin loves the interactions and to always be talking, and and she's super efficient. So that's just the way she works. Whereas me, I feel like I like need to be like in my own world, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
It's like either it's interacting time mm-hmm. or it's work time, and if it's work time, like
mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, and that's just how I am, but yeah.
But it's not like you're getting like grave sense of anxiety.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think that's when I say that, that's like initial nerves for anyone coming into a new job or a new anything. I don't feel that way now, but definitely I remember when I first started, I was so nervous.
Were you?
Yeah, very nervous. But I think that's normal.
That's natural.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you this. I was so like clueless when I first showed up for my first day of working at Zimmerman, right? Like I had been living in Colorado. I've been waiting tables and bartending and playing guitar in a band, and probably a little past the time that I should have been in my life, but that's just the way it went. And so I came here, and I was living with my dad at the time in an apartment in Miami. And I came to work the first day. I was late because of the rain, and I brought my lunch in like this giant, like I don't know what I was thinking. I showed up day one like in a shirt and tie with like a Coleman Igloo cooler,
like a whole thing,
like I was going to the fucking beach.
That's funny.
And I'm like, but there's nobody like to say, dude,
why'd you do that? Yeah, honestly,
it's very nerve-wracking when you first show up to a new job. You're like, you don't know anybody.
Yeah,
it's.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think on my first day here, I think my dad actually drove me because I was so nervous I was gonna get lost and like be late. So he was like, I'll take you so you could like see where it is, because I definitely had been here. I don't know why I was acting like I'd never been here.
Right.
But I think I was just like, oh, it's my first day. Like nothing can go wrong. So he was like, I'll drive you. So, but that's how I was, though. I was like so nervous.
That's so sweet, though.
Yeah, it was nice.
It just makes me think of like dropping my daughter off at school. You know, like I walk her to the front door.
That's how it felt. But yeah.
Well, over the course of time, you've done a really great job, and it's really, it's nice to see how you're developing this business of yours and how you're styling it. It's really cool to see. So, congratulations on that. Would you like to tell our many viewers and listeners how they can find you and your brand?
Yes, you could go online to sambaswim.com, or you could find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest. Yeah.
Is anybody on Pinterest?
Okay, I personally love Pinterest and I go on it all the time.
Really?
But I don't think it's as efficient as Instagram or any of the other options.
Right.
But I do, obviously, on the platform I use for my website, I can see where like people come in and conversions come in from. And sometimes there are like a couple Pinterest clicks. So yeah, I think it's definitely not as big, but people go on it. But
all right, well, congratulations. You're doing great work.
You.
It's good to see.
Thank you.
Good to spend time talking with you. Brittany Redondo, Samba Swim, taking over the world one suit at a time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.